Good morning, everyone.
Hello, Nina. Hi, Chanti. How are you? Can you hear
I'm all right.
us?
Good to see you.
Morning, Alan.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello, Alan. Robert.
Hello. Hi.
Oh, Robert's here. Hello.
Hello.
Betty, I put something in the chat for you.
Oh, you did? Let me see. Where's my chat? Oh, here it is. Chat.
Are you here, Ajahn?
Everyone.
Welcome back.
Chanti, I don't see anything there.
Hello, Albert.
But Chanti, I don't see anything there. In the chat. Sent to everyone.
Shall we start now? Did you have
Yes,
something you
please.
wanted to start with, Nina? or-
Here we go.
Yes, I can start with something. One of our friends said, people are suffering, but he feels when there is no person, no point to help. And then I find it so interesting the way I can answer such questions. We can learn the way she answers, because she says, what is a reality? What is a condition? What is the cause of suffering? And no one can make it arise. It is there now. There's people think about situations, but Ajahn always brings people back to the present reality, and we can learn so much from the way she answers.
Can that be the whole event in a moment, just a moment? So what is real? Is there anything now or nothing at all? It's
Very good. Yeah. So good you ask this, so that people can consider the realities instead of the situation.
No matter how much we talk about anything, if we don't know where it is right now, is there anything to talk about, to understand? Because it's not just a moment ago or a moment ahead, but it's just right now. Is there anything to talk about it? That's why the idea of self is there all the time, unless there's a moment of finding out what is in truth there now as it is. Is it I, or is it something, or is it that which just appears and then gone? Without considering the truth of this moment, how can there be the understanding of life after one moment and one moment and one moment? That's why it's not just we want to know more about it, but what about the understanding of one's own considering about what is there now? Because what we are talking is so real and it's there now. Is that which is not there real? When it's not there, it's gone forever, never to arise again. Is that not true? Just consider the word of the truth about what is there to understand whether it's real or not, it's true or not. Each word is talking about the truth of this very moment to be known. Otherwise, there is always the idea, I feel lonely, but what is that? A kind of feeling different from a moment of very pleasant moment. So what is there is there by conditions. No one can make it arise because it's there already. Already. If one tries to think to stop it or to have it, can it be at will or is there already? For example, seeing right now, they're seeing already. Who condition it to arise? Impossible, because it's there already. And it's gone, unknown. At moment of hearing, it's not seeing. Just talk about whatever is there in a moment in life to be known, what is meant by or a reality. Just to understand the truth, that's all. Nothing can be done, but can be known as it is, little by little. That is the way to let go the idea of someone or something all the time in life. If nothing arises at birth, how can there be this life or each one as is now? Different ones by different conditions. If nothing arises at all, where is the I? But whatever is there, when it experiences an object, no one there at all. So the reality which experiences the object is taken for I. I see now. I hear now. I think now. But in truth, they're gone. No I, as no seeing now. No I, as there's no hearing now. See, it's there only by conditions, but without understanding of truth, how come to be such and such? There is the idea of that which experiences who else? Only I. I see, I hear, I think. And where is the I? After seeing's gone, hearing's gone, everything's gone. In split seconds. In a split second of a split second. Who knows? It seems like there are many things now, hearing and seeing and thinking and feeling, each different ones, not the same one at all. Feeling cannot see, and seeing cannot hear. Is that not true? To understand the truth, if there's no understanding, what is there is taken for I feel, I like, I remember. Whatever is there is taken for I, but they're not there now. Only when it appears is there and then gone. Cannot be found at all after it has gone. Just consider what is true and what is right to understand whether you like it or not. Whereas you, and whereas that kind of feeling of thinking never arise again. Only once in samsara, in this life from birth up to now. Just a moment ago, it's gone completely. What is seen now gone, because the other moment is hearing, not seeing, but they seem to be together at once. But in truth, the condition for seeing is the condition for hearing. So how can they be seeing and hearing together in a moment? Just understand the truth, that's all. Whether it's true or not. To live with understanding of the truth or no understanding of what is there now at all, depending on conditions. As long as there's no understanding of the truth of seeing, hearing, right now, it's taken for I see, I hear, as usual. But is there always seeing, always there, nothing besides seeing? Impossible. Is there always hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing? Impossible. Just consider whether it's true or not, that's all. The truth is the truth, no matter who knows it or not. And the understanding of the truth is not anyone at all. Without hearing and considering, how can there be the idea of seeing cannot belong to anyone. It's there only when it sees. Just understanding the truth, whether it's true or not. When it's true, it's true. Seeing is seeing, and it is not always there. Just very shortly, very quickly, just see and then gone. Otherwise, we don't say seeing, because seeing can be just only seeing.
And so, Nina, as Ajahn explains, it always comes back to the present moment and the understanding of what is appearing at the present moment. Because when I hear someone say, as you quoted the other person, say, people are suffering, then it makes me wonder whether there is any understanding by that person of the characteristic of dukkha as a characteristic of any reality that is maybe appearing. Because presumably the quote you gave us was all about dukkha, right? And this conundrum that people have of, if there's no person, then why bother? What is the use of trying to help someone who's suffering? Is all a kind of mishmash of different ideas, but not an understanding that what is important is the reality that's appearing at the present moment and its characteristic. Because dukkha is a characteristic of a reality, not something that a person experiences. In that sense of suffering is the conventional one only. And I even wonder if it's dukkha dukkha.
And
Conventional.
of helping is there already, see? Or the moment when there's no help, it's there already by conditions. Why some people help and why some people do not help at all. By conditions. It doesn't mean that when there is the understanding of what is what, there must be that reality. Suffering is suffering, pain is pain. It doesn't mean that when there is the understanding of no self, it's that there to be conditioned for helping. It helps better with understanding of the absolute truth. Kindness is real. Unkindness is also real by conditions. What condition? Sickness, trouble, pain. Do nothing or not understanding how to help. Does anyone like to have such feeling, suffering? Impossible. Why the understanding of no one can condition no help? Even the person who doesn't understand the truth also help. Why doesn't the one who understands the truth help? All by conditions with understanding what is said. Can we have food without attachment or less attachment? Or we must have food with attachment, so present. So we'll cling to that as I like it very much. All depends on condition, no matter like or dislike, just for a while and then gone. Can anyone hold it? Have it there always? Not go away at all? Impossible. All by conditions, but the best thing is to understand what conditions such different event, such difficult time. And the best way to help is have the understanding, not to have more of the condition for trouble or unpleasant moment or suffering. The cause of suffering, if it's not known, it has to be there all the time, almost all the time, many, many moments in life. So we have to begin with what is that? See, we take it for I, or people, or fish, or dog, or cat. What are they in truth? Without shape and form, who can say a fish see, a monkey eat, and so on? So what is the truth of what is there as it is? Never change. It has its own characteristic, its condition to arise. When time comes by conditions. Can a blind see? Impossible. Why not? While the other can see, but the blind cannot see.
Ajahn, you asked about a question. There was a question, what is the world? And then you said something that I really have to consider more. The answer was, what is experienced now is actually just a moment ago. That is meant by world. Even the experience is not the same anymore. So I found this answer really something that we have to consider again and again.
That is the meaning of Dhamma. What is Dhamma? It's there. If it does not arise, can it be there now? So whatever is there is conditioned to arise by its proper conditions, not the other conditions as well. Its own proper conditions for this and this at each moment. The moment of pleasant feeling, the moment of trouble, see, they are different. What condition is it? Why not always happy? Why not? Can anyone make it at will to be pleasant? Impossible. When that which is experienced is unpleasant, it conditions the unpleasant feeling. But how come to appear as this and that, pleasant or unpleasant? By conditions. And Buddha realized the truth of each reality as it is. So he taught everything about whatever is there as it is, to be known, to be studied, that actually there's nothing, only Dhamma, the reality. It cannot be taken for anyone or anything because it's their condition to just rest and then fall away instantly, from moment to moment, very quickly, that it can condition the idea from shape and form to be taken for this and that as I too. If they were not there, how can there be the idea of I see, I hear, I think? So in truth, what is there is the absolute reality. No one can make it rise. It has its own proper conditions for its arising. And from developing understanding and all kinds of parami, years and years and years ago, Buddha became enlightened the truth of this very moment as it is. And we learn to listen, to consider what is true and what is not true, that's all. And the understanding is our reality, not my understanding or anyone's understanding. It has its own characteristic, different from ignorance, because ignorance cannot understand the truth of what is there at all. Its nature is not understanding the truth, because the truth is so very rapidly arising and falling away. Without hearing and considering the truth of what is there now, it's impossible to let go the idea of I from birth up to now, and not just this life. Years and years life for too, and the future, years and years ahead. Just learn to understand what is true, that's all. And one cannot have such understanding by oneself. But after hearing the words about it, it's time to consider whether what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is not true. If there's no birth, how can there be Punina or Suchin? But when there is birth, it's taken for this and that, different people or different things. And then gone at the end of this life, never to return at all. Is that true? So what is the best thing in life? What is the best moment? It's the moment of understanding the truth of what is there now appearing.
And usually when someone would like to help others who are having difficulties or suffering by way of helping with the shopping or the chores or the medicine and so on, these are different ways of helping. But the best help of all, of course, is helping someone to understand a little bit more about the truth, understanding how life has to be like this. Different feelings, different realities arising and falling away, all by conditions. It can't be any other way. And helping anyone to understand what is the world now, like the unpleasant feeling or the painful experience. It's just for a moment. The world is just now, just for a moment, and then gone. We think about all the troubles or the difficulties here or in other countries, or in the lives of different friends. But actually, it's just the thinking at a moment for a moment, the seeing for a moment, the hearing for the moment, the world just now for an instant.
Is that not true?
Yes,
See,
so true.
so true. Does anyone make what it is now appearing, arising, and then gone?
So in fact, the effect is the opposite of what we think, understanding more and more that there is no one there, no people there, that there are just different realities arising by conditions is actually the condition to help with purer cheetahs, with more understanding, and help when there's an opportunity to let others consider a little bit more about what life really is.
And the biggest akusala is the wrong view of self.
Any help to give just a little understanding, a little less wrong understanding of the truth is a great gift.
I have this question I'm thinking about. So we know that patience can arise with kusala as well as akusala. So for example, when there is a lobha attachment to something, there can be patience also. So, but also if there are situations where there is impatience with lobha. So what makes the difference between these two things, like impatience with lobha and patience with lobha?
Does anyone like to fight with lobha? It's gone completely. It's only thinking whether I have more lobha or less lobha, but actually in truth, what is lobha? It's so short and then gone. To let go the idea of something like that, which is the object of clinging, as it's not there anymore, see? No one can stop anything to arise because there are conditions for its arising. But to understand it as actually what is there in one's life from birth to death is not there anymore, from moment to moment. And when there is no understanding of this moment, how can there be the understanding of the next moment and other moment? Impossible. That's why it doesn't matter whether how long it develops to understand what is there now as it is, but to understand what is true and what is not true. No one can do anything. Why? Because it's already there by condition. Now there is seeing, now there is hearing, and now there is thinking. Can anyone make a moment arise to be such and such? Impossible. Just learn to understand the truth that actually what is seeing, it's a reality, it's not real because it now sees. It cannot do anything else, only just arise to see by conditions. The object is present or unpleasant to be seen by conditions. Everyone would like to experience or to see only the pleasant thing, but in truth, it's not like that because all depends on condition for each moment to arise as it is. When it's time for seeing, seeing arises such the moment of experiencing pleasant, and sometimes it just arises to experience unpleasant object. That's all. Learn to understand that it is just a moment, and no one can stop the arising of whatever is now arising and appearing. But there can be the understanding of what conditioned it. How can it be not taken for thing or someone, something at all? Because it's that just very shortly and then gone. How can it be a thing or a person, a being? The dog sees, the cat sees, a human being sees, Deva sees, Brahma sees. Seeing is seeing different object. That's all. Depending on conditions. When we cry, we think about that which is there, that we do not like it, but it's not there anymore. So cry what? What for? That which is gone completely, never to return. That's why right understanding condition more, letting go of that which is accumulated so long to take what is there as something all the time. That's why begin to understand that what is there is so short and then gone. And it can be learned and it can be experienced and it can be the understanding of that as it is. We don't know when will the idea of self can be completely eradicated, but without understanding the truth of what is there now, how can it be eradicated? All depends on conditions. Better to know, to understand the truth, rather than to be blind, not understanding what is there as it is. seeing is not hearing. It can be known. But what is seeing and what is hearing? Can it be known? Can the truth be realized? Right now, when there's more understanding and more letting go of clinging and wrong understanding, taking it for something or I at all. What is seeing? See someone or I. Can that be really seen? So what is that which is seen in truth, absolute truth? The understanding of the truth developed little by little. It's like holding the knife's handle. Who knows how much is let go, wrong understanding, little by little, from hearing, considering, developing the direct understanding of what is there now, which hasn't been understood yet. But it's there to be understood. It can be understood. When there's more considering about its truth and have my confidence of the truth. So is there a little more confidence that actually there's no I and no thing? They are only different conditioned realities arising and falling away unknowingly so rapidly. But each one can be known as it is. Because they are in daily life, but it's not known as it is.
So, Tam, we can say that whenever Lobha arises, there is impatience at that moment. There's restlessness and there's impatience, akusala virya arising with it. But it's a reality, it's a Dhamma. There can be understanding of the characteristic of that reality. And when there's understanding, there is patience with that understanding. Kusala virya with panya that understands
Can I say something?
Lobha as it is.
Yes, because we have talked with Sarah, me and Sarah about these many things, but you have to see in which aspect we are think about. Like, let's say that someone's scolding us and we be quiet, but inside is dosa. That's not patience, because only kusala is patience, patient to like akusala with kusala. Yeah, so it's depending in which aspect you're talking.
Well, Tam was talking about patience with kusala and patience with akusala. So when it's patience with akusala, like patience at moments of lobha, then it's akusala patience, akusala virya arising at those moments with lobha, because virya arises with almost every chitta, except for most of the ahetuka chittas. But Lobha is a Dhamma, so there can be understanding of that reality anytime when it has arisen. And at those moments of understanding, the virya is kusala, wholesome patience.
Actually, I was talking about Lobha with patience, with patience, akusala patience, and Lobha with impatience, like in conventional way. Sometimes when someone is very eager to for something, for example, we can see that there is impatience with Lobha. But we can see that sometimes there can be patience with Lobha, like a cat waiting for its prey, something like that. So in both cases, there's Lobha and there is virya in both cases.
In both cases, it's unwholesome patience,
yes.
akusala virya. So it seems like we have ice cream store just around the corner from where we live, and people queue for a very long time to get their ice creams. The children seem so patient lining in the queue, but it's loba, patients with loba. So it's actually, no matter whether conventionally we call it good patients or bad patients, but in terms of dhammas, whenever loba arises, no matter if someone is sitting very quietly or standing very still in line at moments of loba, it is akusala virya, unwholesome patience.
And I think,
John, your sound.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Thanks, Haji. I think the designation of conventional patients, of unwholesome patients or loba with patients, is just a conventional one. So there's not a Dhamma aspect to that, because actually, as Sarah explained, when there's loba, there's no patience. Of course, there can be moments of loba alternating with some kind of kusala patience, but that wouldn't be the normal situation, even in the kinds you mentioned, because the cat waiting for its prey, for example, it has to wait for the prey to come. It's not as though the prey is there and the cat then takes its time to do whatever it wants to do. So I think it's not a distinction that has a Dhamma aspect to it at all.
It's now moments now of kusala, of wise considering, moments of wise reflection, understanding with kusala patience, and moments of impatience, moments of attachment in between. So different kusala and akusala patience with different chittas all the time.
Yes, I agree. Of course, what you said is correct. But we have to see in what aspect, like akusala cannot be patience, because it's in, like, when a kusala chitta arise, they also consider that it's patient against akusala, because that time kusala arise, not the akusala.
What Chaitasika is patience, Haji?
Virya.
Virya. Can virya be kusala or akusala?
Or both.
Yes. So when it arises with akusala chittas, it can seem like patience, like in the case of the cat or the waiting for the ice cream, or even now listening to the Dhamma. But when loba arises, when one cannot wait, or one's too keen or too anxious, then it is akusala patience, the akusala virya at those moments. It doesn't matter what we call it, but it's there and it can be understood even now.
And I'm going to ask a question related to that. They said that when kusala chitta arise, it has to have more patience than akusala, because there's more chetasika arise, so it need more strength.
Which is easier, akusala, moments of loba, or moments of kusala, like metta, for example, or understanding? So it needs many more chaitasikas to arise and develop with it. I think Tam was about to say something I think Tam was about to add something a moment ago. What were you going to say, Tam?
Oh, I think so. Kim can go ahead.
Yeah, Tam, I was wondering if this helps you, answer your question. Say you go to a department store and you see two queues, one for ice cream, which you like, but not so much, and another queue for something you like a lot. So when you see the queue of ice cream, you don't want to stand in queue, but then there's the other thing which you like a lot and you're willing to stand. So both are clearly lopa, but why you say that one, it seems to be that there's what conventionally we call patience and the other impatient. So maybe that gives you a hint.
I think that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things to sort out because between the conventional idea of patience and the kusala patience, and yeah, I'm still a little bit confused.
Just a quick question, Tam.
Yes.
Have you heard this patience with akusala discussed here, or is it just an idea? Because I haven't heard, this is the first time I've heard someone raise the question of patience with akusala, patience with yoga, for example, as I recall.
Because patience as virya. So virya can be akusala and as well as kusala.
Well, we say that patience is a function of virya, but that doesn't mean that virya is patience. Virya is a number of things. Sometimes it's patience, but when we talk about patience, we're referring to kusala virya only, as far as I know. No?
And John, that's Harji's point. And I think once we discussed and we Achan mentioned akusala virya too, and as akusala patience too, and we came to understand that it's at that point a reference to virya, which is with loka, and also patience. If it's kusala, it's the virya with kusala.
Okay,
So
thanks for that.
reference.
Thanks for that
Yeah.
correction, Sukin. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Whilst we think in conventional situations, there can never be understanding of the dharmas, but when we consider more what Cetasika must be and when it arises, then it becomes more apparent that actually there are those different aspects of patience at different moments, kusala and akusala.
Thank you. That's all helpful to consider more. Thank you.
To me, the notion of akusala patience sounds a little bit like a contradiction in terms, but I can see that there can be conventional patience with akusala. But anyway, that's clearly what has been discussed, so please ignore my earlier comments, Dhamba.
So is there patience right now? Easy question.
Achan, there must be if there's willingness to listen and to understand what's being said.
Moment trying to understand the truth is also patience. Otherwise, one will be not interested in understanding the truth, the subtlety of reality. The most important is not just remember the word about patience, but what about the characteristic of that as no one and nothing at all, when it's there appearing. But when it's not there, who can tell? Because there are so many realities arising together in a moment to condition just a moment, not only one reality as condition. There are many realities as condition for whatever arises now. even while listening, is patience to understand too.
But mostly akusala patient.
That's best thing to know, the truth.
Hmm.
To understand it is patience, not I.
Hmm.
And there's so many aspects of patience. Now we understand the difference between the akusala patient and kusala patient.
Hmm.
And we can recall whether there is patience yesterday, this morning, unknown, passing by all the time. Until we talk about it right now, there must be patience too. But the reality is so very, very subtle to understand. It takes time to consider again and again and again. That is the way patience there. Unknown when it doesn't appear. And one can learn by oneself at what moment is patience. Someone might be sleepy, but in order to understand, listen and listen and listen. That is also patience too. So it's almost many times in a day when one tries to do something, no matter wholesome or unwholesome. Can putting on a shoe be patient or no patience? Depending on conditions. But it's hard to do. It needs patience at that very moment to try again and again. But when it's so easy to put on a shoe, it doesn't take much time. When it's easily done, it doesn't need any patience or more virya to finish it, to do it. So now, without patience, can there be the understanding of the words of Buddha, of the Buddha? So deep about what is there now as it is. It's not always there, just so very rapidly arising and falling away, unknowingly, from moment to moment. Without patience, how can there be the understanding of the truth of what is there? It experiences right now, seeing is that moment, experiencing. Otherwise, that which is seen cannot be seen at all. Patience to understand the truth. But how many cetasikas arising with seeing? No patience by Dhamma are conditioned that it's time to experience such and such. Patience to develop the understanding the truth of what is there.
But that Ajahn, it has to be only kusala patient. not a kusala patient.
And while you are putting on the shoe, which is very difficult to put on, is there any passion to do?
Mostly with a kusala patient.
It doesn't matter because it arises as it is to try to do, to finish.
Yeah, but I bring up your point that when you say patient to understand, that has to be kusala patient. To that is a kusala patient will not lead to more understanding.
But patient performs its function as being patient. Try again, do again until it's done.
So, Harji, especially in the case of uh, developing understanding and hearing the Dhamma, it's not just kusala patience. It's akusala patience also would be there. Because, for example, if there's no understanding and you decide to walk away, rather than just stay on in your seat and with akusala patience continue to listen, you wouldn't be there wouldn't be the chance to hear more. So there would be akusala patience too.
No, that I understand. The patient that would lead to understanding is kusala patient. It not a kusala patient cannot lead to more understanding.
So you'd like to justify whether it is kusala patience or akusala patience, not understand the truth of it as just a reality. It has its own function. It's not the other kind of cetasika. It's conditioned to rise. No one can do anything. Just study, beginning to develop the understand the truth of what is there that has arisen already before we can think whether it is what and what, wholesome or unwholesome, kusala or akusala is gone. So what about now? It's not that which we are thinking about to find out what is. We lose the moment of understanding what is there because thinking about other things. And this is always in a day. That's why it's reminded to understand the most valuable moment is right now. And this moment is the moment of trying to understand the truth between the difference akusala patient and kusala patient. But can it be known? Or do we have to name it? Or just understand that which is patience at that very moment as not I or anyone. It's only a reality shows up as it is, but no understanding because it's taken for I try and I try so hard and so on.
Yes, that's Acharya, I understand your point, but what I mean to say that a kusala will not going to lead to more kusala. Like, let's say for example, I I want to be a good person and all that. I want to do more dana and all that. I give more, but that actually not kusala. That's all selfish. A kusala cannot lead to more kusala. A kusala only makes more and more akusala.
And that is just only thinking about the word, about the name. But what about that which is there as it is, as its own characteristic, as not the other one, to let go the idea of self from what is there little by little, because understanding what is there a little more as it is, no matter what, but it's not self.
So Haji, right now we're talking about patience, but instead of understanding what we're discussing, we're thinking about other things. At that time, there's no patience.
And usually we like to compartmentalize and make everything neat and tidy, and we want to know, oh, now when we're discussing Dhamma, it's kusala patience, and when at another time we're looking out of the window, it's akusala patience. But it's not like that, because virya arises and falls away so quickly. Kusala and akusala cittas follow each other all the time, and the conditions for each moment of wise reflection now are so intricate. So we cannot just say, oh, while we're having a discussion, it's kusala patience, and this is the condition for understanding, because the dhammas, the world, is just for a moment and then gone. And all the time we're trying to work it out and try to know whether it's kusala or akusala. It's I again, trying to get to know it, not just understanding what appears at this very moment.
Yes, that's correct. I'm not saying anything. But what I was saying that in generally akusala will not lead to kusala at all, because akusala will lead more to akusala. It will never lead to any kusala.
That's not enough. That's why we have to understand what it's meant by Upanisya Pachya, Pakatu Upanisya Pachya. It's more intricate.
Much more intricate, because in this way, even the wise considering now, it can be conditioned not just by the accumulation of wise considering and understanding in the past. Even akusala can condition kusala. Who knows? So someone may come with a lot of lobha, but there may be moments of understanding. So we can't just simplify and put everything in tidy compartments.
No,
So that's why what's important is just understanding what appears now.
Yes. Even to come here, mostly it's lopa only, or what? But the actual condition that would lead to more kusala, it's kusala. Like, let's say that I have a lot of money, give more. I want to be more good and more good. That's not the thing. That is selfish. That is more and more akusala. Directly, it has to be panya that see the value of kusala, and that kusala can be developed. Not that one's want to try more, want to be better person and all that.
Yeah, but even all this thinking about what's kusala and what's not a kusala, what's a kusala is at that moment not understanding.
And what about having understanding what we are talking about a little more? Can it condition moment of pleasant feeling as I?
Yeah.
Conceive sometime by conditions. Pakatu Upanisya Pachya, anything can be conditioned. Akusala can condition kusala, and kusala can condition akusala. Very intricate, because it has been accumulated. We don't know how long it is to be a combination of such and such for that very moment to arise. Only panya can be wise to it and understand the truth, so that you can eradicate unwholesomeness until
Chan, Chan, can we say that any Dhamma can be a condition for panya?
By way of Pakatu Upanisya Pachya.
Yes.
Chan, can you
like even the highest jhana can be conditioned for akusala, can be conditioned for clinging, for wrong view. So if the highest jhana can be conditioned for akusala, what about just a little understanding now? And the other way around as well.
But the main point, the main thing that condition akusala is the ignorance itself. So we have to say that ignorance lead to more akusala. But how kusala will lead to more akusala, that I don't understand yet.
This is why Ajahn was mentioning about Pakatu Upanisya Pachya, the natural decisive support condition, because by this condition, anything can be a condition for the chitta and cetasika arising now.
I mean, Haji, isn't it true that you're angry, and then there can be understanding of anger at that time?
Okay, thank you.
Or Tam's example of lobha arising with akusala patience, but it can be the object of understanding with kusala patience.
I understand it in terms of object conditions. So anything can be object of understanding. But don't we usually say that, for example, wrong view cannot condition panya because only panya can condition more panya. So that's the reason why we usually, when talking about meditation centers and ideas about practice, that they are the wrong path, and they can be object of understanding, but by themselves they cannot condition more panya. I think. Yes.
You probably have noticed times when you are trying to understand and then realize that's trying there. So at that time, it's wrong practice being the object of right understanding.
Yes. So by being object, it's fine. I'm totally fine with that being the object. But when we say that something conditioned by way of pakatu upanisaya pachaya, that makes me a little bit confused, because I usually thought that pakatu upanisaya pachaya is very broad, of course, but it refers to the accumulated tendency, like panya condition more panya, or lobha condition more lobha, and so on. So that's this point I would like to understand more.
My understanding of Pakatupanisya is the habitual tendencies to include to certain dhammas to arise habitually. And if, for example, in the past there has been considering, understanding, having moments of wrong understanding, it's not just object. Next time there's a chance of understanding wrong understanding again, and that's what it means pakatupanisya pachaya, because there has been accumulated tendency to understand it.
Yes, that's my own understanding also. But
like we read in Paticca Samuppada, actually ignorance is conditioned for all kusala and akusala by pakatu upanisya pachaya. Without ignorance, no kusala would be arising at all. So actually, if there was no ignorance, if there was no wrong understanding, there would not be any life, there would not be any possibility of understanding. So even when reflecting on the wrong path or the wrong practice that was followed, we can say that the wrong understanding can be conditioned for understanding. So that's why, as Ajahn said to Hajit, by pakatu upanisya pachaya, it's very intricate. So we can say in general, like he and you said, kusala leads to kusala, and akusala leads to akusala, and the wrong path leads to more and more of the wrong path. But we cannot say that akusala doesn't and cannot condition kusala by this condition, because it does and it can.
So, which is mean that when Panya understand wrong, that this is wrong, so the wrong view is an object for Panya that understand that in that moment. So that is Pakatu Pachaya, am I correct?
So there are two different conditions. Aramanu Pachaya refers just to the object which is experienced at this moment. So at a moment of understanding, any reality can be the object. At a moment of thinking, any idea can be the object. But when we're talking about Pakutu Upanishya Pachya, we're talking about the habit or the accumulation, and any reality in the past can be a condition for the kusala or akusala arising now. Any rupa, any chitta, any cetasika, any ignorance, any wrong view, any kusala. It's very, very broad condition.
So, Haji, as I understand it, if there is understanding of wrong view right now, it would mean that there have been understanding of wrong view in the past.
Is there any problem with the audio?
Can there be the understanding of what we are talking about right now? But can that which is now appearing be object of understanding little by little right now? That's why we have to understand the accumulation that we accumulated. Is it strong enough, wise enough to understand the teachings of the Buddha correctly, each word from the very beginning to the end? Or sometimes it can be known as much as the accumulation of wisdom or right understanding. That's why people can understand the truth different, more or less, see, in such this or that, different ones. That's why we learn to understand the truth of no one and no thing. This is the most important, because no expectation at all to realize what is there as what kind of cetasika without any word at all, because it doesn't have its own name. We just name it, make it known with such and such word. But the reality is there is known as it is. Can Viriya be known? Can Ekagata Cetasika be known? It depends on condition, unexpected, because it's anatta. Anatta shows itself from time to time to have more confidence of the truth, that no one can make anything arise, no one can do anything. Just listen and consider the truth and begin to understand what is the truth. No one, no me, no I, only idea of thinking, not saying, only hearing, not attachment, and so on. They are dhammas, and what can be known at what time cannot be understood, cannot be known beforehand at all. By conditions, anatta, to have more confidence of anatta. So now we learn about the Dhamma, very, very subtle. And when we read about the Pakatu Upanishya, it doesn't mean that we have to take the whole time to understand the number one, number two, number three, and so on, but to understand, to have conditions for letting go the idea of self. Otherwise, it's only thinking all around about what is there, what is thought, and so on. But what about the truth of the characteristic, which is now appearing, not known, or begin to have more time to understand little by little that it's only that? Because before the wrong understanding, taking it for something, be eradicated, who knows? Because there is ignorance about all khandas, no matter Rupa Khandas or Nama Khandas, even there now. Sanya, who knows? Vedana, who knows? Chetana, who knows? Viriya, who knows? But we learn to understand the different characteristic of each one, as it cannot be taken for anything at all. It has its own characteristic, its own function right now, unknown, until there is the understanding of the difference between the nama and the rupa. Otherwise, it's taken for something all the time when there's no understanding of the truth of nama, only that which arises to experience, and that which is there, object of clinging, even it cannot experience anything at all. That's why we study with respect to the truth that Buddha had enlightened, how far his understanding, his wisdom, and us now. To understand the same word he used, Dhamma. What about his understanding? And what about our understanding? Very little comparing to his great wisdom. And wanting to understand that what we had talking about, is it not lopa? Is there no lopa? But since it conditioned moment of listening to understand, that can be conditioned for wholesomeness, understanding the truth. Little by little, so much to be studied, to be known.
Then I just realized that there is no patience even to understand one word at a time. I mean, just now when I was talking, just talking like as if the being able to explain or knowing the definition and having a long story about how dhammas are and how they condition each other is something that's valuable. But even one word, there's no patience just to go one word at a time. So how can there ever be knowing directly one reality at a time?
Wearing, holding the knife handle, does it wear away today? Or not yet? But when it's worn away, it's known that how come to be that moment of wearing away of the knife handle.
Yes, Ajahn.
To be truthful to the truth, have more confidence at moment of hearing and understanding the truth of it, little by little. It comes from one moment and one moment and one moment until it's the moment of understanding more than before about what is there now appearing. That is patient as parami, to understand how can there be right understanding of that which appears as it is. Now, it appears, but not as it is.
Another example, Tam, that's given in the text is the one with wrong view and clinging to eternalist beliefs and the existence of everlasting rupa and arupa realms, as is that wrong view, and clinging can be a condition for the development of samatha and attainment of jhanas. So many examples are given to show the intricacy.
Sarah, can you say one again? I want to listen properly. Sorry.
So the wrong view that there can be everlasting life in higher heavenly realms or in Arupa Brahma realms can be a condition for the development of great kusala, even to the highest jhanas. So akusala can condition great kusala, the wrong belief, the wrong view. So we cannot just say that only kusala conditions kusala or akusala conditions akusala. Many examples are given. Ignorance is conditioned for birth and conditioned for all kinds of kusala and akusala karma.
Yes, you can see that like people, because of the wrong belief, they may do many good deeds, for example. But in terms of the path, can you say that only the understanding of realities can condition more understanding of realities?
That's only right understanding.
Without right understanding, there cannot be the development of the right path, but we cannot say that other kinds of realities cannot be a condition for right understanding by Pakatu Upanisya Pachya.
I think the thing is, Pakatu Upanisaya Pachaya is too broad, that sometimes it's like not the same condition anymore. I mean, when it's the habitual accumulations of Dhamma, and when it conditions, for example, the moment of vipaka, it's totally different. And yeah, I think it's really too broad.
It's very intricate, and that's why it's just enough to understand that the conditions are very intricate, and any reality in the past can condition understanding now. So just one has to be careful when one just generalizes and says that, makes comments that a kusala cannot condition kusala or something like this, just to know that it is a very broad condition and very intricate. One doesn't have to understand all the details. Because what about now? What about the thinking now? What about the considering now? What about the clinging now? Even the clinging now can be conditioned for understanding. Who knows?
But for people who practice from meditation, for example, they usually say that, okay, maybe there's some wrong ideas there, but it can also condition panya. It's usually the arguments that they give.
Well, it's true that wrong view or ignorance can, but if there is the idea that, oh, never mind if it's wrong view, wrong practice, I'm going to follow it anyway, and it may, in a big circle, come to the right view. Well, that is just accumulating more ignorance and more wrong understanding at those moments, because one doesn't see the danger of accumulating wrong view or ignorance that's clinging to the self, clinging to the wrong idea that I can practice at those moments of thinking.
I'm not sure if this will explains the idea of Pakatupanisya or not. I was just thinking about all the disciples who were enlightened during the Buddha's time. You can say that everyone had different objects, and it's not just by object conditioning, it's also each person different objects by way of Pakatupanisya Pachaya.
Yes, that's a good point.
And without hearing, considering the words of the truth from the Buddha, can the one who has wrong understanding be right understanding by itself, or by wrong understanding? Buddha also taught what condition right understanding. It doesn't mean that just wait for that will be or will arise. It's impossible. There must be conditions for understanding all realities by way of different pathya. But in truth, the person who has wrong understanding and not hearing again and again and again and again about the truth, can it condition right understanding? So it needs to hear more, not just once or twice, more than that, to be conditioned for understanding the truth little by little, what is true and what is not true. It has to be wise considering too. If that person hasn't accumulated the right understanding, even just a little bit enough, how can there be right understanding of the Buddha's teachings? So it's not just let it be by Prakatupanishya, because Prakatupanishya means the natural reality can be conditioned for whatever, but it needs conditions too. Can this moment, right or wrong understanding, condition the other moment by way of Prakatupanishya Pajaya? See? It has to be by way of this Pajaya, for sure, but who knows when and what for each moment to be this condition. It's there little by little. So it's not just try to find out whether it is wholesome patient or unwholesome patient, so and so, but to understand what is there from hearing about it on and on and on. It's that which arises to experience the object. For example, seeing arises to see, hearing arises to hear, that's all. Gone. Just understand the truth in life, little by little. And right understanding develops little by little, unknowingly, until it's there, being able to understand a little more of the truth. If we don't talk about it at all, how can it be conditioned to be a moment of thinking, considering about what we have heard? By conditions. It's not at all, or sometime, or more times, or by conditions. Khanti Parami now.
Like Megya, the Buddha's attendant, who wanted to go to the forest to live alone, and the Buddha discouraged him, but again and again he requested, and then he went to the mangrove grove and was overcome by fear and aversion, and realized that it wasn't the right way. But if he hadn't listened to the Buddha, there wouldn't have been the understanding. But maybe the fear, the terror, realizing it wasn't the right way, was also conditioned for understanding. So intricate. Everyone has their own path, their own way. Who knows what realities are conditioning understanding right now? Understanding what was wrong, understanding that terror was not the right way. Does anyone else have any questions or topics? Betty, are you trying to bring something up?
I have to look up something first, reference first, before I answer. It's a question that Chanti had, that she brought up last week, but she had mentioned the wrong sutta. So I have to look up the Mula Parayaya Sutta, so before I can answer.
What is your question, Chanti?
I asked him last time, Sarah. It's in the audio that I heard. Betty said to Kujin that the Mula Pariyaya Sutta helped her a lot in how perception has different stages, from the unlearned, say, student to the one that listens to the Dhamma, and on and on. And I was curious how she would put it in understanding at the moment.
I'll give you an idea first, but I'm going to look up the sutta itself after we finish, and I will write an answer for you. But I write right now because understanding has many levels, especially the 3 levels that John always talks about. So that may be what it was being referred to.
I think it's just like we've been talking about, like the earth element, or we can say the visible object. When there's ignorance and wrong view and misunderstanding, it's taken for something all the time. It's taken for someone, it's taken for a place, it's taken for a situation. But for the Seka, for the Aryan, there's no misunderstanding, no wrong understanding. We can talk about people and sunsets and places, but no taking what is just earth element, what is just hardness, for being a table or a computer. No matter we talk about tables and computers, what is seen is just that which is visible. There's no more taking it for a being, for a tree, for a table. It's just that what is seen. So these are the different degrees of right sanya which develop with right understanding, until there's no more utter sanya, the wrong idea of self or someone. So it's actually just talking about the different realities, the different elements, the hardness now, the temperature now, the visible object, just different dhatus, not people, not places. So it's actually exactly what we're discussing here about the understanding of different realities. The world at this moment, just that which appears, not a thing, not a person at all, just hardness that is touched and then gone instantly. Not my hardness, not my experience, not something that is hard. So I'm sure this is what Betty would have been referring to.
Yes.
The different
And
right perceptions developing with right understanding of the realities appearing now.
And I think I can add also what Jonathan said at the beginning of the talk today, discussion today, was that when the understanding does arise, it's understanding of the characteristics, deeper and deeper levels of understanding the characteristics of the dukkhaness of it, the anattaness of it, the aniccaness of it. Depends which one of those will arrive on conditions.
it was good to hear because you talked about going into it slowly by stages. So I didn't know about the sutta. But when you read a sutta, it's very complex. So it's nice to bring it up here. Thank you.
But I'll write you a note later when I read the sutta.
The first
My
sutta
memory
in
is not very
Majjhima
good.
Nikaya. Betty, it's the first sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, and it begins with talking about hardness, the element of hardness, that which appears just now.
Okay. I see the right self.
Shanti, just now you say it's complex, but all Dhamma are complex. It's not just this sutra only. Everything are complex.
We can say it's complex because of the papancha, because of the clinging and the wrong understanding, not understanding what appears now is just hardness, just the world at this moment and then gone. It's taken for something, so it's the ignorance and clinging that makes it so complex.
Good evening, Ajahn and Sarah and John and everyone. I'm Tam Chow here.
Hi, Tam Chow. Good to see you.
Yeah, hello, Sarah. Yes, I would like to share one experience that I had a couple of days ago and would like to understand more about that experience. Of course, we said that like the experience, it just, happened, arising and going away, it's already past. But it was like a new experience that this might have not yet experienced before. What happened was that I was in a big conference room, and while the speaker was talking about, the past, how the organization, and how did we went well, and look forward for the future, and ahead, what will happen, what should we do in the future, etc. Like in the worldly sense of the meeting, we talk about the past and the future. And all of a sudden, what dawned on me was that I could not find the past. There was no past, and there was no future. Everything just a blank. It's like all empty. And I was just like standing at a very pointy position. I feel the great danger that, like I have nowhere to hold on. There was no past, no future, nothing. And at that moment, the mind was a bit unstable, and I can sense the fear arise, and then the heart was pounding, sensation. a little bit of tears come to the eye. It's fear. And then that moment pass, and then the conceptual world come back. So I thought that moment was like something that, a new experience, but I would like to learn a little bit more about that experience. So could you please shed some light on, and actually one understanding come is that like there was no such thing called time. The time and the moment is what we call time is just a concept. Yeah, time is just a concept, but the mind wasn't. That was only one moment that showed to me. Out of that, the conceptual world become very real, very solid. And
how about now, Tam Chow? How about now?
Now everything become real. Yeah, everything is like seeing, hearing.
And that experience has all gone because
it's gone. That's why it's all gone.
So yeah. What is real now?
It's just a perception. It's just like the memory of that moment.
That's right. So it's just clinging and dreaming and wanting and fantasizing about the past, but actually it's all gone. So many experiences in so many lifetimes in the past, but all gone, all of no significance at all. But now there is the thinking and the memory and the clinging, finding it important, but it's just thinking about it now, just clinging now. So best is just let it go because it's all gone, and understand what is true and real now, the thinking now, the memory now, the clinging now, because actually life, like you said, it is just at a moment. In fact, there is no past because it's all gone, and there is no future because it hasn't come. So all there is the world right now, the thinking now, the dreaming now, the clinging now, seeing now, hardness that is touched now. And like we were just mentioning in the Mulaparayaya Sutta, this is what the Buddha taught about, the all, just at this moment, just the hardness for a moment, no thing, no person, no being at all. The thinking now, just the Dhamma, not my thinking, not my experience, not my great event, just a moment of thinking and then gone. So life is just at this moment. Nothing belonging to me or you, no great experiences I or you had. Otherwise, there's clinging all the time, trying to have such experiences again and not understanding it's just a reality, the clinging, not my clinging, and then gone. All of no consequence, no significance at all.
Yes, it's impossible to say now what that moment may have been. And I think Sarah's point is it worth trying to analyze something that is gone in the past? And after all, there is only the memory of it, and the memory is only reliable to a certain degree. So how you recall the moment may or may not reflect the true nature of the moment. And that's the same for everyone. I'm not saying that in a critical way, of course. And I think all we can say is, in general terms, that such experiences as you describe are sometimes conditioned by concentration that's been developed in the past. And concentration can be kusala or akusala. So there's no way of knowing what past accumulation may have triggered this kind of experience, but it's uncommon but not unknown for this kind of thing to happen, for people to have a moment of, well, sometimes they take it as a revelation, and sometimes it's very unpleasant. Sometimes it's in between, like you say, that on the one hand, you thought you could see there's just the present and no past, no future. But on the other hand, it was a bit scary and there was fear, and so forth. So many different moments. But again, as Sarah's pointed out, the importance really is coming to a better understanding of what is appearing now. But all we can say is don't take it to be anything special. I mean, it's unusual, but let's just let the past be the past, because trying to figure out whether it was kusala or partly kusala or whether it was panya, some stuff like that, is not a fruitful kind of line of inquiry.
I understand. Thank you very much, John.
Are you trying to speak, Ajahn? Because we can't hear you.
Okay. I think that no matter what is there appearing in the past or in the future, even it's so strange happenings, but remember that is there any understanding of the nature of that? Otherwise, it's useless. There can be condition for other strange happening, but it's the same. Is there any understanding of that as it is? If not, it's useless. Because sometimes when it's strange happening, people cling to it, just want to know it, dream for it again and again and again. But in truth, what about understanding? When there's no understanding, it's useless because it's gone, never arise again. And there can be different happenings from thought, thinking of this and that, unknowingly, how come? But when it's there, remember whether there is understanding of that moment or not. If not, let go. Useless. No matter what arises again as so strange, what about understanding? If not, forget it. So the most important thing, even there is some understanding of the truth, even stage by stage, but doubt is still there as long as it's not the enlightened moment of the perfect truth of it yet. There can be doubt about it. There can be I in between, but right understanding can understand whatever is there as it is. Even there is the idea of I. Right understanding can understand that it's a reality. That's why right understanding develops on and on and on in any situation until it's strong enough to understand the truth of what is there in daily life. Because what is there is so true rather than strange happening by thinking, not understanding it. It's strange even in a dream. It's so strange as the strange is in a dream. See? So no matter what arises in a dream or not in a dream, as long as there's no understanding of the truth, it's gone. Can anyone understand that which is gone? Impossible, because it's not there to know its truth. That's why only whatever is there, right understanding develops little by little to let go the other thought about it with clinging or doubt or whatever, to just beginning to see that it's there and whether it's not enough or not yet, or it's just a reality. It begins with it's a reality to understand that it is the object of understanding when it's there, as it is, different ones, depending on conditions, which one can be the object of thought about the truth by conditions. It can be hardness just right now, somewhere at the body. We cannot expect it has to be hardness of the toe or hardness of the hair or hardness of the lips, because from the accumulation of taking it for something. That can be the moment of understanding it. It's there where it slips, but in truth, no lips at all. That's why right understanding develops little by little until it can understand the truth of that which appears. Otherwise, it's useless, no matter it appears, as it is not permanent, arising and falling away. But what about the understanding? There is doubt. There is clinging to that object until there can be stronger and stronger understanding at different levels, stage by stage. So true, so natural. Otherwise, there must be ignorance, and it can be the object of clinging instantly, and ignorance instantly again. That's why right understanding can understand the truth, whether how much clinging to what khandhas, as it does not appear as the object yet. But when there is the understanding of the reality, which can experience an object, no matter what is there, clinging, aversion, ego, or whatever, there can be the understanding of the truth that it's a kind of that which experiences an object. In order to let go the idea of self, I like, I dislike, is pleasant, and so very happy, and so on. No I, little by little, getting used, be acquainted with the characteristic which is not self, until it's so familiar in a day to know that it's that which is there, only there, and then gone. Even we don't think about it, it's not there. But it depends on how much understanding is there to let go, so that there can be the understanding of other object which appears after it, one by one, little by little, unexpectedly. But right understanding is there to know that it's real, it's there. No one makes it arising at all. It's there already and gone. It's a way to let go, clinging unknowingly to the object from one to one. Reality. At moment of beginning to understand the truth, for example, of that which is hard or that which experiences hardness, it is the moment of understanding that in truth it's there, but it does not appear in daily life. Only when it's time for right understanding to understand just that very reality, no matter it is hardness or sound or whatever, little by little, to understand what is there in daily life is so natural as different realities. Not just to be acquainted to the term, but to the nature of it. So it's a long way to go. That is the way to let go. The wishful thinking, try to do this and that so hard, and thought that it's the way to realize the truth. But it's the way to have more ignorance, because there's no understanding of what is there now. So it has to begin to understand what we have learned, what we are talking about, to understand the nature of that which is now appearing, little by little, unexpectedly, to realize the truth. Only when time comes, conditions are ready to the moment in the future. We don't know when, so long or so short, depending on conditions. And it has to be clear understanding of the truth of whatever is there. No doubt anymore about it. But if we take only some object to be known, it's wrong, because that is the function of the I, not the understanding of the truth. So realities are now, we're talking about each one to know little by little that it is only that characteristic, no one there at all. Seeing is seeing. When it arises to see, it's there. But when it's not time for seeing, it cannot be seeing. It has to be other reality, hearing, thinking, by conditions. And this is a subtle way to let go clinging and ignorance and wrong understanding of whatever is there.
Sita, did you have anything you'd like to ask about today? Oh, sorry, Alberta, were you about to ask something? I didn't see you. Yes, either.
Yes, okay. Azita, go on, please.
Yeah, at the moment I'm in a situation of wise considering about and also some in our mind trying to build up this recognizing what is not and what it is, and sometimes we use also like assuming something. These are all trying to make corrections and a way of better understanding. So the mind is working and also simultaneously reflecting on everything.
Good to hear that, Sita, that you are listening and considering. Very glad to hear.
Yeah, and it needs also wise considering and also this wise reflecting on what you're hearing, understanding, and it takes some time.
It has to take time. It's a very, very slow process.
Yeah, patiently and little by little.
It's all about now. Yes, all about now, not about when we were chanting or when we were in the temple or the experience we had before or what may come tomorrow, but it's the reflecting about life at this moment.
Yeah, it's a different world. It's the good
true
to
world.
know. Yeah, it's good to know and to be on the path to see where lies the ignorance and where lies the understanding, and reality. You need a lot of patience, a deep contemplation on what's going on.
Okay, as we just have a few minutes, Alberto, would you like to bring up your point or question or comment?
It was just about seeing now, and Ajahn remarked that also dogs and cats sees, and we there is something that the idea of I am seeing, and it's it's followed by something else which is not seeing, and the understanding of seeing is there must be understanding of seeing even to understand what follows seeing, and so to understand it in order not to take it for, to understand it as it is in order not to take it for my seeing, and I was just, it was more like a comment about this, and how it's how important it is to understand seeing. Thank you.
But I'm not sure we have to say that there has to be awareness of seeing before there can be awareness of thinking about what has been seen. If that's what, I'm not sure if you were saying that, but when you're talking about what follows seeing, are you talking about the mind or processes that follow the moment of seeing?
Yeah, even about asava, akusala follows instantly, and even in the sensory process, and so it's so natural for akusala to arise, which is difficult even to imagine even let's say conceptually having like an idea of a bit more closer to the truth than that of the idea of people and things, and the words and that sort of thing.
But there could be awareness of attachment to what is seen without there being awareness of the visible object as such, I think. But I mean, as Ajahn often explains, there's no no specific order in which awareness will take object, no specific order for what objects will become object of, what realities will become object of awareness.
Right. Yeah, understand that. I see your point. Yeah, that's, I agree with that. Yeah. Ajahn, can you talk a bit about Upati, which is the 10 vipaka I explained for the newcomers, the 10 vipaka of seeing and of kusala vipaka and kusala vipaka, which are seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, seeing, and smelling, and also all the other. They are like a different category of dhammas from the all other reality, all other chittas. Thank you,
others are
Ajahn.
nipati.
Upati nibati.
Selection object before the reality experiences it. Can there be selection for the object to be seen or heard before hearing or seeing arises?
Of course not. No.
Yes, that is anatta. So have more understanding of anatta-ness. Realities are conditioned to arise, that's all. I think that it's time now, right?
Yes, we can continue next time.
Sawadee
Thank you,
Ajahn.
Ajahn.